Hi, I'm Bob Zimmerino, and this is my co-host,
Emily Seitz.
and welcome to Taste It Missoula. We're ready to fire roast some chilies. Emily's going to show you how to do it. Let's talk about the steps involved. Emily?
First of all, what kind of chili is this, Bob?
It's an Anaheim chili or a New Mexican chili.
Okay, keep thinking about, what recipe you're going to use. You got to think about what kind of pepper you're going to use.
Correct.
Right? So why are we going to use this guy today, Anaheim?
Well, I like Anaheim chilies, number one, because they're pretty much the basic chili for a chili relleno.
Okay.
The other thing I like about Anaheim chilies is that they're not hot. They're about 3 on the scale of 1 to 10. In the heat pool, they're about 3, 2.5 to 3. And they're a lot like basically a poblano or a pasilla pepper. Probably one of the most recognizable flavors that you'll have in Southwestern cuisine. And the series that we're doing now is going to be involving Southwestern cuisine. We're going to do a series of about 4 or 5 shows and show you some different dishes over the next few weeks. Emily, you've now taken the seeds out of this. You've taken the top off.
Right?
Right.
Because, one of the things to think about, you don't want to do this with all your peppers. But with these are mild enough. And one of the things to think about, too, is that heat or that intensity you actually get from the inside of the pepper. And that heat and intensity comes from the seeds.
That's correct.
I'm using my hands, but I would not recommend this with jalapenos.
I wouldn't recommend it with habaneros either. And
No.
we'll show you some peppers in a little bit too. We'll give you a little demonstration of all the different peppers that we have available to us here. We have several different types of peppers that we're going to show you right up front. But also in addition to that, we're going to do several different types of cuts. But we're going to say at some points chop fine, chop large, chop medium, mince. We want you to be familiar with those terms, and we can demonstrate in this one dish basically all of those cuts. That's right. So we're going to start with the mildest to the hottest chilies, and we're going to show you what we're looking at here. This is a poblano chili, or they call them pasilla chilies for whatever reason in this country. The pasilla is actually from Chilaka pepper, and this is its own genus, and it's beautiful. It's kind of like a cross between a green pepper and an Anaheim. The Anaheim chili is a little firmer and has a slightly sweeter flavor, and both are very delicious. They just have slightly different flavors that really make them work. The Anaheim is actually kind of a cross between the poblano and the jalapeno pepper. Before we get on to the jalapeno though, this, which actually looks fairly terrible, and I don't know any way of showing you this to make it look better because it doesn't, except reconstituted.
Yeah.
This is a dried ancho chili. Ancho chilies are actually this pepper dried.
Before and after.
Before and after, so when it's dried. But when you reconstitute it, it actually gets a nice red color, and we did it in water. You just put it in some water and let it sit. And if I need water in my dish, I'm actually going to use this water because it has that great ancho flavor. The jalapeno pepper is a slightly hot pepper, about 4 out of 10 on the heat scale. The heat scale is basically designed to measure capsaicin, the heat in peppers. This is a serrano pepper, which is an aged jalapeno.
So probably you've had this happen at your house. You buy a jalapeno, you leave it in your fruit basket or wherever, and then all of a sudden it turns red.
Starts to turn red.
Which is actually a really good thing because that's going to take on a little bit more heat and a little more flavor.
A different flavor. This is a Scotch bonnet or a habanero. These are actually a Jamaican chili, or East Indies, I should say, chili. They are very hot. They rate them 7 to 8 on the heat scale. The smaller the chili, they say, the hotter it goes. And the reality of that is there are some hotter chilies in this. I don't know why you'd need them, but they are out there. So she's going to fire roast, and I'm going to fire up right there. And all you have to do is lay them over your burner and allow the open flame. If you don't have open flame, you can actually do it on a barbecue grill also, or you can roast them in an oven. But you can hear what does that sound? Popcorn? Why no, it's the skin popping on those peppers. And that's a beautiful sound because what you really want to do is you kind of want to blacken the outsides. You want to char the outsides. We're then going to put them in a plastic bag and we're going to let them sit for a few minutes. The skins become very soft and easy to peel. So as you can see, if you look into the overhead camera here, we've got some beautiful blackening happening here, which means that the skin is basically almost ready to peel off. You want to add a little moisture to it. The way to do that is to put it in that bag and allow the steam to create moisture that will allow you to easily skin that pepper.
And what bag Bob's talking about is you can either use plastic or paper. I've asked a lot of different chefs, like, well, what do you prefer? A lot of go either way. Depends on what you have at your house. So that's whatever you have readily available.
You can even put them in a plastic container with a lid, but you have to have it sealed up enough to create steam.
And that steam is going to help you remove that skin.
So you've got these peppers going. Why would you actually do this? Why would you, besides taking the skin off, is there any other advantage to this?
Oh yeah, this is going to be a caramelization of your pepper. So same concept applies if you're roasting nuts. Anytime you change the chemical compound, you're going to be changing the flavor, because fat is where you get flavor, or oils. It's going to be really helpful for the complexity of the dish, because if you change the peppers by roasting them, you're going to have a much richer, nuttier flavor.
Right, because one of the things that happens with these is the waxy outside kind of holds those flavors in, and when you pull that skin away and you've now roasted, you get a great flavor that rises to the surface. It opens up all those flavors. So we've got some that we've already roasted. Here's the bag. Peppers are in, and let's go to the sink.
Okay, so I'm taking off the skin with my bare hands. You could use gloves if you want, but one of the things that I like about cooking is that it's a tactile experience, and it's pretty easy to do. If you didn't roast it, it would be almost impossible. You know, how would you do it with a peeler? So it doesn't take very long. I don't want to wash it with the water. Sometimes the water is going to be a deterrent because it's going to take away some of that flavor. And as you know, the areas that were really charred are a lot easier for me to remove. So thinking about when you are roasting your pepper, try to be as consistent, you know, as you're watching, be mindful and have a real even darkened pepper.
While Emily's roasting those peppers, I'm going to break some eggs. Now I want to tell you a couple things. One of the areas that I think I feel a little bit differently is I like to leave a little black, and I also like to leave a little of the waxy outer shell, so I purposely don't fire roast the whole pepper when I do them. You can go either way with it. I like a little bit of that harder edge shell on that pepper than if you just fire roast the whole thing, but that's my own deal. So a lot of people want to break eggs over the bowl, and that's okay to do, except a lot of times you end up with eggshell in the bowl. So we're going to show you a little something. Oh, I got a piece of eggshell in. Oh my gosh, I got several. So now, how do you get eggshell out of that bowl readily is you use the eggshell. And it sticks right to it, and you can scoop right in there, and you can grab out any pieces of shell that are in that bowl.
It's a great trick. Shell attracted to shell. It's a really good trick.
I usually crack on the countertop and then throw the whole shell in there. Got a couple pieces of shell right there. Scoop them right out. Thank you, Em.
Yeah.
What is this?
This is our compost bowl.
And we have that so that we actually get to reuse and recycle these eggshells.
And it's actually interesting. I take eggshells and put it into our compost, which is actually our hen house. Our hens, you know, it actually is good for them to break it down, and it'll help give them calcium for their future eggs.
Look, one of my 8 tools.
Oh yeah, 7?
Well, 8 because we had to include the pans. People do this all the time. I've got to do 4 eggs, so I'm going to get a bowl that just fits 4 eggs, and they end up with egg all over the counter. Use a bigger bowl. You can avoid spilling very easily just by having a bigger bowl. And usually when I say that, then egg goes flying across the room. However, it didn't today.
And the other thing that Bob was doing, maybe you noticed, is he's putting it on the side. The idea too is that your bowl is flat down here. You're not going to get an even distribution of your whisk. So you put it on the side, hold it with your non-whisk hand.
We are both non-traditionalists, so while we're doing this great southwestern dish, instead of using cheddar, although you can, cheddar cheese is delicious, but this is Dubliner cheese. It's an Irish cheese, and it is absolutely delicious. So you take your Dubliner, and you stuff it right down into the pepper, As
do
far
this
as you
one.
can get it to go, you can do that one. Perfect, if you would.
This is sort of southwest
Meets
Ireland.
Ireland.
Yeah.
This is southwest of Dublin.
Dubliner cheese, it's a longer aged cheese, which is another reason why it might have a stronger, richer flavor.
We put our eggs into the pan. We're gonna lay the chilies in side by side. The top of yours should come this way.
Okay. So you could use either Bob's grater or my microplane when you're doing the.
I would recommend my grater personally.
Of course you would.
Okay, so lay that baby in there and we're set to go.
All right.
One of the things that will happen is the eggs will kind of cook over the top of this. Traditional chili rellenos are batter dipped and deep fried. What we're trying to do is to come up with a slightly healthier version. Now, I want to run my egg a little bit over the top of it, just a little bit.
Did you grease your pan at all, Bob?
I did not, because
Okay.
this is a non-stick pan, so it doesn't need it. And then this is going to go in a 350-degree oven for 20 minutes. Set your timer.
I set my timer.
What you end up with at the end? Ooh, look, my spatula. What you end up with at the end,
It's like a chili Relleno loaf.
it's exactly what it's like. It's just like that.
And that would feed my husband for breakfast.
So we have a baked chili relleno, not deep fried, not batter dipped, but a baked chili relleno. Next week, we're going to do a fresh salsa called pico de gallo to put right over the top of this. No deep fry, no batter. Perfect, a little healthier than those other deals. We're gonna take and make a fresh salsa next week. We're gonna put it right over the top. The salsa is called pico de gallo, very delicious. Thanks for watching Taste at Missoula. Emily and I will be back next week.
And we're gonna taste it.
Oh, Taste at Missoula, that's right. Thanks to the Good Food Store, and thanks for makeitmissoula.com. You can find the recipes and the instructions to make these dishes that we're doing online at makeitmissoula.com.